Bob Dylan's Masters of War. It's one of the most intense, blistering protest songs ever written, right? But what is it that gives it such an enduring, unsettling power, even decades later? Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to dive in and deconstruct how this song really works, not just as a piece of music, but as a weapon.
Right from the get-go, the song isn't just describing a problem. It's pointing a finger. I mean, these lyrics establish a direct, face-to-face confrontation with a specific yet unseen enemy. There is zero ambiguity here. It's just a raw, relentless accusation. And that right there, that's the crucial point of this whole thing. You know, a lot of anti-war songs are sad. They're about mourning and loss. This song? It's something else entirely. It's an ice-cold, furious indictment. It's like a public charge sheet, just laid out in verse.
So how does the song actually build its case? Well, it starts by identifying a target that is really specific in its actions, but, and this is key, general enough to remain unnamed. And that's a huge part of its lasting power. The song basically operates as a moral indictment. See, it's not interested in explaining complex politics or military doctrines. No, it just strips all of that away to focus on one single thing: assigning guilt and responsibility.
So who are these masters anyway? The song paints a really clear picture. They're not the soldiers on the battlefield. No, they are the architects of war. The people who design the systems, who profit from the weapons, and who make all the decisions from a safe, bureaucratic distance, totally shielded from the human cost.
Okay, now let's get into how the song actually builds this case, because its primary weapon isn't just its message, it's its grammar. The entire structure is a confrontation, a duel, built from two simple little pronouns, you and I.
And when you break it down like this, the contrast is just staggering. The you is powerful, hidden, destructive, distant. The I, the speaker, is exposed, angry, but has this crystal-clear moral vision that the masters totally lack. So this isn't a dialogue. It's a judgment being delivered from the powerless to the powerful.
The technique Dylan is using here is called direct address. By relentlessly, almost brutally, repeating you, he turns the song into a prosecution. You, as the listener, you're not just hearing about an issue. You feel like you're witnessing a confrontation in real time. There's just no escape from that accusation.
But here's the thing, the song's power doesn't just come from the words. The music itself is this brilliant piece of psychological framing that draws on something deep, something historical.
The tune itself was actually adapted from a traditional English folk song called Nottamun Town, and this gives the music this stern, heavy, almost ancient quality. It doesn't sound like a pop song. It sounds more like an old curse or a grim prophecy.
And this is where the genius really kicks in. You have this ancient-sounding melody paired with lyrics that are just brutally modern and immediate, like they were ripped straight from the headlines of the Cold War. That old tune gives us very new anger, a sense of timeless weight, a sense of inevitability.
This is just a classic example of the folk process. See, Dylan wasn't just writing a new song from scratch. He was repurposing a traditional form for an urgent modern political attack. He was plugging his own very personal anger into this long stream of public speech.
Now, to really understand the song's fury, we have to put ourselves in its moment, a time when the fear of total annihilation felt incredibly real, incredibly close to everyday life. This song was born in a climate of just intense nuclear anxiety. It came out right after Eisenhower's famous warning about the military-industrial complex and just after the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the world literally held its breath. The whole planet felt fragile. Fear was a social condition.
And this is so crucial. Dylan didn't just reflect this widespread fear, he channeled it. He took all of that free-floating anxiety and gave it a target. He argued that this terror wasn't some accident of history, it was the product of a system, and a system that had beneficiaries.
Which brings us to the big question. Why does a song so tied to the Cold War still feel so potent, so raw today? Well, the answer lies in the structural nature of its critique. You see, the song isn't just about one specific conflict. It's about the mechanisms of modern conflict itself. And these themes, profiting from war, the moral insulation that bureaucracy provides, making life-or-death decisions from a distance, these are, tragically, timeless. But the song doesn't just end with a smart analysis. It ends with a curse. This final verse, it's the most shocking, the most ethically challenging moment in the whole thing. It pushes moral outrage to its absolute limit. And this forces us to ask a really uncomfortable question. The song is admired for its severity, but right here, it wishes for the death of its target. It makes us confront that blurry boundary between righteous anger and a kind of logic that starts to mirror the very thing it condemns. And that leaves us with this final thought. Masters of War offers no middle ground, no compromise. It's not designed to persuade its targets, it's designed to condemn them. So its value may not be in its ability to create consensus. Maybe its power lies in its ability to make complacency impossible, forcing us to ask really hard questions about power that we might otherwise ignore.